Welcome to the discussion on the book Living in Truth, Gandhi in Paradigm. And we've been discussing today the topic of Gandhi's economic revolution. And this, we have discussed about the trusteeship model, and now we're discussing about the economy of permanence. Notion of economy of permanence, as we've been talking about, it is a concept that is based on stock and flow, transient and permanent economy, depicting a sustainable pathways for production and consumption. Nature, however, it is considered as permanent, while life, human life, is considered as transient. It is limited. Since man consumes nature for its survival and existence, Kumarappa proposes the concept of economy of permanence. The notion of economy of permanence advocates that an economy that relies more on permanent elements of nature, that is, permanent elements of nature, and like those are abundantly available, than on the stocks that are limited in supply, only those economies will be sustainable. This was pointed out way back 100 years back by J.C. Kumarappa. The stock or the reservoir of the materials such as coal, petroleum, minerals, etc., they are considered as transient, as they are exhaustible, and then while there is a constantly, they are growing quantity, like timber in the forest and water in the river, they are considered as permanent elements and they are inexhaustible. Kumarappa asserts that everything that begins somewhere ceases to exist sometime. The concept of permanent renewable energy resources like water, air, sun, they've been emphasized by Kumarappa long time back, based on Gandhi's notion of economy of permanence. Humanity exerts less pressure on limited resources and uses only the renewable resources available. Only then we can think of and talk of sustainability. The Gandhian philosophy of interconnectedness between the means and the end, which was also described in chapter number 1 of Moral Revolution, it can also be applied in economics. The means cannot be left unspecified when the ends and the goals are radical. So it's a very important statement to take a note on, that the means cannot be left unspecified when you are looking at the ends that are radical. In economics, the means are the resources or the inputs which we utilize to meet our ends, that is demand, that should be ethical and environmentally viable. The role of the means is critical for the permanent economy which we visualize, that attempts to sustain the continuity of life in the environment. The means to fulfill minimal material needs must also be ethical and environmentally viable. So, means are equally important as compared to ends. When profits and material well-being, they derive the individual in the economy, the ethical values and the human well-being take a back seat. Material well-being can never be equitable as it thrives on the greed and unprecedented accumulation of wealth and capital. Subjugation, preponderance of power are all the instincts from material accumulation. Consequently, the state that controls economy under such unethical and uncontrolled value system, it gets captivated by the harmful consequences of the political economy. Thus, it is almost impossible to visualize equity and distribution, equity in the distribution of wealth and resources, when there is a political economy that takes the center stage of distribution. The entire power of distribution will be unjust and skewed. It caters to the end of only a particular section of the society, depriving a large section of the society of the benefits of growth and development. So the role of state is very, very important in the whole process. Role of state is extremely important to motivate and to reach and serve humanity as a whole. Service to humankind and custodian of the natural resources must be the two indispensable commitments of the state, which is not so in the present development scenario. When a community, nation, or state is based on Gandhian philosophy of truth and non-violence, then the system of governance is based on the human service and human resource development. The element of human service should never be decoupled from the gross element of human development. In this particular context, decentralized system of governance is what is key to the development process, and it should take the center stage. One of the example is the village panchayat, the primary political unit of public administration that is considered as self-governing, self-sufficient, and has autonomous status. There will be an unrest when small communities decide the best of their optimal allocation, and when every provision is based on the consensus based choices. So there is no scope of unrest. Everyone is free to present their kind of choice system in the system, and so therefore the system is very peaceful and viable for everyone to of their thoughts and processes. They take the complete responsibility for providing goods and services, and it is subject to the availability of resources and capabilities also. A decentralized, consensus-based decision-making system is what is a significant contribution by Gandhian thoughts again, philosophy again. Our decentralized communities are characterized by self-reliant communities. These are communities which are non-violent, sustainable, reflecting lesser exploitation of resources and people. Such societies are more peaceful and ecologically sustainable. While if we compare with the centralized system of functioning, which is more of concentration of power in the hands of few and creating vulnerabilities across, the effect of political economy is felt deeply there, depriving large section of society living in the remote areas and excluded areas. So one can see exclusivity existing and prevailing, inequalities prevailing, and the system is not inclusive. It is conducive and it is not basically inclusive. The quest of power, implying the desire to possess more and more material and resources, is what can be seen in such kind of governance systems. The power comes through wealth and desire to rule, exhibiting superiority over others. So the centralized production method or systems, they generate an accumulation of wealth and capital, leading to the concentration of power and wealth again. Concentration of power and wealth implies competition, leading to violence and maintaining hegemony and supremacy. Therefore, the need to expand begins based on greed, and that instigates more and more competitive environment, which leads to exploitation of resources, overproduction, and therefore it's detrimental to nature. A decentralized system of governance is a situation of scarcity of capital and when a raw material and markets are in the proximity of producing centers. Further, in the case of excess labor, the case of unemployment and underemployment, centralization would aggravate the problem instead of solving it. This system would lead to would lead to a far more uh, equal wealth distribution. As far as the decentralization is concerned, people are more tolerant, people are more satisfied and non-violent. This process of production includes the distribution of wealth in a more equitable manner because it is consensus based, and the aim is to uplift the people and improving the standard of living of all. The survival, we have seen that the economies, there are several examples related to decentralized systems. One of the very remarkable example is segregation from the globalized world is the case of Cuba, where recently they performed the US they showed a dissent against the US embargo in 1960s, and they exhibited the kind of economy they exhibited and functioning they exhibited was remarkable. They were self-satisfied and they were also self-reliant. They were not the part of the US embargo. Another example which is worth mentioning is the village Menda, which is a small village of Gonda tribes in Maharashtra, that is India. It is again a self-sufficient and self-reliant village, though it is very much in contact with the rest of the world, but it has maintained its unique characteristic like non-existence of disputes, differences of opinion, no problem of poverty, hunger, unemployment and economic disparities. The village functions effectively based on consensus-based decision making, and the way they have functioning is also called as Gaon Samaj Sabha, which comprises of all adults in the villages as their member. In the meetings, the village has also proposed 150 rupees of fine based on the consensus of all for all the practices like cutting trees in the forest for fruits, leaves for their personal interests and personal consumption. The villages, they all depend on the forest for food, fuel, and they are not connected with the grid or they are not connected with the center, and they are living a very healthy, sustainable life. So it's a great example of people's power. A decentralized community which is based on consensus-based decision-making system is defined as being ethical and maintaining the moral value system. Let us comprehend that how the moral revolution and self-rule will shape the social capital that in turn will embark on the ethical revolution in the economy. Now, the term social capital is very, very important. It is a newly accepted worldwide term, social capital. It is newly emerged concept and it was defined by OECD in 1916. It refers to the network together with the shared norm values and understandings that facilitate the cooperation within or among the groups. So, the certain value system and ethics which are created or which are emerged in such a social groups are responsible for maintaining the individual's respect and security. When we address the notion of ethical economics, the social capital serves as one of the significant assets for the inclusive growth and development based on the ethical value system or the judgment. However, it is plausible that such a concept of social capital could result in the marginalization of certain sections of the society and does not belong to the social capital altogether. So there is a conflict in the consensus that that how are you actually visualizing the social capital. If you visualize your systems from the decentralized manner, which is peaceful, non-violent, then you are actually creating a social capital. But if you're marginalizing, then it will, and you are actually creating exclusivity, then you are not the part of the social capital. So all the systems should finally see that are they contributing to social capital or they are devoid of the creating anything to the social capital. Now let's talk about technology. What is there, or what role it has in the whole concept of Gandhian thoughts? There is no conflict in the consensus that technology is the biggest threat to the nature and humankind. Technology debates that it is depleting, and what it depletes is the natural resources, and it leads to the harmful effects of the environment. It is witnessed that the technological breakthrough has been unprecedented and uncontrolled. Technology does not possess self-limiting principle. It does not possess the virtue of self-balancing or self-adjusting or self-cleansing, while all these attributes are present in the natural resources and natural processes. Consequently, economic growth driven by the technological progress or breakthrough is self-destructing and environmentally unsustainable. This provides a necessary rationale to reduce or realize and the significance of ethics in the use of technology. Technology or technological breakthrough that serves the humanity and safeguards the human values and ethics could be a part of human progress and development. Only that should be a part of human progress. We have seen that Karl Marx wrote that they want production to be useful thing, but they forget that the production of too many useful things results in too many useless people. He that time only indicated that how the technology should embark in the society and should be visualized by the society. Technology on one side disrupts the balance of humans with the nature. On the other side, it leaves humans more mechanical, impairing the human connection with the value system and the connection with the spiritual self. Therefore, when the spiritual connection of humans is broken, the mechanism of self-rule and moral revolution is impossible to be visualized. Gandhiji said that the poor of the world cannot be held by mass production, only the production by masses. This was mentioned by Schumacher in 1977 also. The system of mass production based on sophisticated, highly capital intensive, energy intensive and labor saving technologies driven by cheap labor and capital accumulation. Sinful characters such as greed and vested interests are all associated with the large scale mass production. Large scale mass production has nothing to do with the weaker or the poor section of the society. However, the concept of technology that is produced by the masses indicates employment for all. There is a difference. There, on one side, we are talking about technology for the mass production, and the other side, technology that is produced by masses. So, the one that is produced by masses is what brings in economic liberty and self-rule. Digitalization is an innovative technology that could be perceived as technological breakthrough, and that may reduce consumerism also, in the sense that it reduces a lot of paperwork, minimizes the use of transportation. If we talk about digital and online technology which we recently have adopted, and then it is reducing a lot of transportation and mobility across. However, digitalization will also lead to more energy consumption unless it operates or it is operated only by the clean or renewable energy sources. It impairs individual freedom, human connectivity, and empathy. There is an urgent need for the state to take charge of the and the control of the technology, and so in order to prevent the negative fallouts of digitalization, safeguarding the human freedom. Institutionalizing the ethical norms of social media and digitalization through legal framework is very, very crucial. Incorporating human individuals from the community and their consensus is very important, as prescribed by the Gandhian perspective also. Therefore, when it comes to digitalization, technological innovation, and economic growth, the kind of system which we are talking about, all this connects very well into a Gandhian kind of framework. So we have seen that how Gandhian thoughts have actually revolutionized the economic fundamentals and economic way of thinking. The economic models or thought process or discipline which is based on Gandhian thoughts and Gandhian ideas and notion, it will be more and more sustainable in the future. This provides a sufficient rationale to revisit Gandhian thoughts that advocate the trusteeship model and economy of permanence. Gandhian thoughts, they transform how the human envisage their interaction with the nature and perceive their existence on earth. This encourages humans to respect the continuity of life and respect human life itself. The genesis of Gandhian economics evolves with the individual self. Then it evolves to the society and finally to the state. The role of individuals, firms, and the state, they should be aligned in one direction to serve humanity and its ethical existence. It is then that a Gandhian economic revolution will be set in. So, living in truth, Gandhian paradigm. The basis of Gandhian revolution is the inner voice and interconnectedness will be the guiding force for every generation. So the two aspects, inner voice and interconnectedness, these are so very, very powerful that they have the power to revolutionize all the different aspects of human life which we are living in. The moral revolution, the political revolution, economic revolution, and ecological revolution. And it will be the guiding source for every generation to perceive. The future generation will recognize the virtue of Gandhian paradigm not only in India but across the whole group. They will relive and keep revisiting Gandhian thoughts and Gandhi in every era, simply because humanity has no other option but to come closer and closer to the reality and the truth. So this is all about what we have discussed is from the book, which is written by Ramin Jahanbeeglu. If you just have a look at the book, this is the main front page of the book. This is the back side. And in brief, I'll just quickly read the details of the authors. Ramin Jahanbeeglu is the first author. He's an Iranian-Canadian political professor. He's presently the executive director of Mahatma Gandhi Center for Peace Studies and vice dean of School of Law at Jindal Global University, Delhi. He is the author of 32 books in English, French, Persian, including book The Gandhian Movement, Introduction to Non-Violence, The Disobedient Indian Towards Gandhian Philosophy of Dissent, The Global Gandhi, and more recently Mahatma Gandhi, A Nonviolent Perspective on Peace. The second author is Dr. Pooja Sharma. This is myself. I am an associate professor from Department of Economics, Dolathram College, alumni of Miranda House, and I've done my study MPhil and PhD from JNU. I have also written book. Before this book is the Through the Lens of Mahatma: The Journey of a Migrant. This book was launched at ISE, and these are the two blurbs about the book. We have received two important blurbs and comments by Professor Uday Singh Mehta, Professor of Political Philosophy, Center of City University, New York, and by Professor Pule Nayak, from former Director and Professor, Delhi School of Economics. So hope you enjoy this book, and thank you so much for the patience. Thank you so much.